Hello everyone, Minute Plus Meditation here. It is Thursday, September the 5th. First reading from, we continue with 1 Corinthians. Brothers and sisters, do not deceive yourselves. If you think that you are wise in this age, you should become fools, so that you may become wise. For the wisdom of this world is foolishness with God. For it is written, He catches the wise in their craftiness. And again, the Lord knows the thoughts of the wise, and they are futile. So let no one boast about human leaders. So St. Paul is playing on words here when he says, you are wise, you should become fools so that you may become wise. In other words, subject yourself to the supernatural categories so that you can see through all the fallacies, the shortcomings of worldly wisdom. Like, it does not make sense in a way for someone to reject a lot of wealth. And yet, if they know that that wealth is going to be a snare around their neck and it's going to keep them from God, they actually should reject it. If one is going to be truly happy, one will strive to be chaste. And that means rejecting the availability of all sorts of sensual pleasures. So we have to, even Christ who dies on the cross rises from the dead. So to die is to live. That's not worldly, that's otherworldly wisdom. And we need to think in terms of the wisdom of the cross or the supernatural categories. Like if we want to be truly free, we must submit ourselves. We have to die to ourselves if we want to truly experience freedom. And so on and so on. Many people think this is madness. That we would subject ourselves to God, and yet if one does this, then one is truly free. Many people say religion enslaves people and so on and so on. It doesn't enslave anybody. If it's false religion, it can enslave people, but not if it's the true religion. And it's lived in the right way. So this is what St. Paul is getting at, that we need to think in the supernatural categories. We need to think in terms of the cross of Jesus Christ. Okay, and this is the heavenly wisdom, right? So, okay, so Luke chapter 4, over to the gospel. Oops, sorry, that's yesterday's gospel. Over to the gospel, it is Luke chapter 5. Once again, Jesus was standing beside the lake of Gennesaret, and the crowd was pressing in on him to hear the word of God. He saw two boats there at the shore of the lake. The fishermen had gone out of them and were washing their nets. He got into one of the boats. He didn't ask permission. He got into one of the boats belonging to Simon and asked him to put out a little way from the shore. Then Jesus sat down and taught the crowds from the boat, and undoubtedly Simon listened. Jesus didn't ask permission to get into his boat. And Jesus doesn't ask permission to get into your life either. What he does ask permission is once he's in the boat, he says to Simon Peter, put out into the deep. This is going to change Peter's life, but he asks Peter this one. So Peter's consent is necessary. And Jesus will get into our life without our permission, but at some point he will require our permission. God made us without our permission, but he will not save us without our permission. So says the famous saying of St. Augustine. And that's super important to remember. And so we know this phrase, ducem altum. It's John Paul II, wrote about this in a letter on the new millennium, ducem altum. Put out into the deep. In other words, put out where it doesn't seem like anything's going to happen because Jesus says to do it. So follow the master's lead. Listen to what Jesus is asking and do it willingly, and it will bear supernatural fruit. This has been proven thousands of times down through history. Mary says yes to God, and she bears the Messiah. God asks Francis of Assisi, to rebuild my church, and he starts the Franciscan order, and he has absolutely nothing in his pocket. Families, have as many children as they are able to, and even beyond. And, all things being equal, God takes care of them. I'm not talking about foolishness here, like, imbeciles, doing what they shouldn't do. Some people shouldn't have a lot of children. because they're not emotionally, mentally capable. But if a couple is capable of having a large family, God will bless them for this and He'll help them. So these are the things that we have to consider when we put out into the deep, because Jesus will ask this of everybody. He asks this of you and He asks this of me. Put out into the deep. Will we trust Him? God bless you.